Hello, welcome back to Black Book Stacks. I'm your host, Toshonda Sanders, and I'm here to talk to you about Luster by Raven Leilani. And yeah, so look at this gorgeous cover. Just take it in. It's really beautiful. Lots of glowing praise that is well deserved on the back. This was part of my book haul recently, and I read it in 2 days because I was completely enthralled by it. I picked it up, and the next thing I know, I read 54 pages, and then I literally the only thing that could keep me from finishing it was work and having to walk my dog. And other than that, I couldn't put it down. It's about 227 pages, so that helped because it's not very long. But if you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard about Luster, which is Raven Leilani's debut, it is the story of a young woman named Edie who's in her 20s, and she works in publishing. She is the self-professed office slut. She's had sex with a lot of people in her office, and she has a roommate. She lives in Bushwick. She subsists essentially on cheap snacks and free food in the office, and also whatever men are taking her out to eat. Essentially, is how she survives. She meets a fellow named Eric, who is an archivist, and they proceed to have the relationship that basically propels the narrative in the book. And she ends up somehow encountering his wife and his adopted black daughter. So I'm going to stop there, I guess, with the spoilers. What I loved about the book is that it's a breath of fresh air. It is such a relief to read the quirky and kind of insane habits and self-sabotage and loneliness of Edie. And also, the sentences are, I think it was Caitlin Greenidge who said, "I rush to the end of every outrageous sentence." And that, I think, really sums it up. The sentences are so full of life and sarcasm and vulnerability. Edie is also an artist, so she conveys some of this, some of this characterization is conveyed through her compulsiveness to create or to paint sometimes inappropriate things. She does allow herself to express herself, but she also is aware that she has to live in the world and she has to survive, and she does what she has to survive. One could argue maybe she does a little bit more than that. She does kind of go overboard at times, but it's just a striking book. It's striking in ways maybe that it shouldn't be in 2020. That there is a black woman who is self-possessed enough and confident enough it just has enough self knowing, self-awareness, emotional intelligence, to understand when she is being exploited or used, when she's being tokenized, and when she, and understands her agency in it, right? That she is able to decide if she's going to let people get away with it or not, or if she is going to, how she's going to empower herself in the midst of situations and contexts that essentially are geared toward dehumanizing her. And making her as insignificant as possible. If that makes any sense. Yeah, so I loved it. I also could see, especially because I was an intern at Simon & Schuster once upon a time, I could see how I could feel and relate to her relationship to the other Black woman at the publishing company where she works. And you know, the writing is so vivid and beautiful that you can smell and see and feel sort of the tension, the energy in the spaces that she inhabits, and also sometimes just the lack of it. You know, when she's just tired and depleted, and you know, the compromises also that we make, especially when we're young and hungry and trying to make our way in the world. So yeah, I think this is a book that really lived up to the hype. I generally do not read books as they have come out when the author and the book is everywhere, because I feel like that makes it hard for me to come up with my own opinions or thoughts, or, you know, to really shape my own opinion of a book. So usually it takes a little bit of time, but in this case I absolutely agreed and saw why there was so much attention and love for it months in advance. So I highly recommend it. If you want a quick juicy Lusty read, Luster is definitely a good one for that. I would say one like maybe small note I'll make is that I'm not sure how I feel about the ending, but I think that I always feel that way. Like, it's very rare when I read a novel where I'm like, great, that was a perfect ending. You know, I can think of maybe one or two novels where I felt like that was the case. So I think I was maybe just I was in such a rush to get to the end, and then when it happened, I was like, oh no, it's over. You know, it's kind of like the book cast a spell on me. So I was just like, when it was over, I was like, oh wait, that's it. It's kind of like at the end of No Country for Old Men, the movie, when I was like, oh, I'm sorry, what just happened? So I guess just wasn't expecting it, and so I think that's probably what happened here. But yeah, that's probably more a personal like idiosyncrasy of mine than of any like sort of commentary on the end of the book. So if you've read it, or if you're planning to read it, I would love to hear what your thoughts are on it. I noticed on Goodreads that it got sort of an interesting mix of stars and commentary. So I'm curious to hear what all of you think. And until next time, happy reading, and I'll see you next time.